So apparently in Oklahoma, OU is actually their gender studies department is actually sponsoring an abortion access is love event.
Okay.
And I will explain. This comes from Muskogee Politico. If you do not follow them, please do. Jamison Fott is actually a really excellent writer and does very good reporting as far as what's going on in Oklahoma, what's happening in Oklahoma with grassroots as well. This is interesting because, again, I know that we don't always get to discuss what's happening as far as the pro life movement, or better yet, the pro choice movement. It's happening, in Oklahoma, but this is going to be part of
It's
that
right
even
there
today.
underneath the surface.
It really is. So, the University of Oklahoma's Department of Women's and Gender Studies um, is apparently co sponsoring an event, and it's called Fighting for Abortion Access is Love. I believe the other sponsor of this is the Department Center for Social Justice and nonprofit Oklahoma Call for Reproductive Justice. Now, many of you have heard of them. They often come to the Capitol a lot, um, and they're pretty fervent pro-choice group here in Oklahoma. But what I found interesting is that this is the second time um, that I believe that we've heard the word love be used
Yeah.
when discussing um, the act of abortion. And I really hope that people are paying attention to what kind of message that's being sent. Anytime that you begin to see words like love and you begin to see things like that, um, be looking for what narrative change is coming, because there's always a change in the narrative. When one tactic is no longer working and perhaps the people's eyes are being opened, then you have to change your narrative and you have to start going after the weaker links, especially emotionally inside of
Yeah.
the voter.
Exactly.
And so they've kind of turned this narrative now. They've turned this conversation to faith. Okay. So what they're saying here is that in the Facebook event description, this is what was written. We fight because we know that without the ability to control our reproduction, we are less free. Now, I want to point out the word that they used, control. What's interesting about that is that every time that I hear these pro choice groups say things like that, you're admitting that you're using abortion as birth control. You're
Yes.
admitting that
Exactly.
by saying something like, we fight because we know that without the ability to control our reproduction, you as a woman are allowed to do so. And of course, the first thing that we always hear is, well, what about rape? Here's the problem: a majority of the abortions that are being performed in the United States have absolutely nothing to do with rape. There are plenty of pro life doctors that used to be abortionists that will tell you this. They will tell you what was going on in their offices. They will tell you what's going on today in the back offices of Planned Parenthood and other abortion clinics. And so please let's not go there. But what I'm saying is that when I hear words like that, you're admitting that you're using the killing of a child, okay, in some states up to birth, as birth control. We each have something uniquely powerful to lend this battle. And that's why we've gathered artists, activists, and students together to learn and plan together on how that message can change Oklahoma and ensure reproductive freedom. Now, mind you, what's ironic about this is that this is going to be happening the same night that University's Students for Life chapter is actually going to be playing the movie Unplanned, which you guys know is about the pro life conversion of a clinic director of Planned Parenthood, Abby Johnson. So I want to kind of just go over this really quick. I really want people, if you are a person of faith, I really want you to pay attention to this. I don't know if you guys remember this, but last year, it was actually around this exact same time. Um, there were billboards that were placed all along the highway here in Oklahoma. I think there was like 8 billboards altogether. And what was interesting about those billboards is that they kind of carried the same tune.
Yes.
as far as love. I want you to think about that. I want you to, before I get into the billboards really quick, I want you to think about the fact that this is saying abortion is love. And I want you to think about what happens when an abortion takes place. I want you to think about a woman and, her feet are in stirrups. I want you to think about a woman who really sometimes isn't even conscious to what's even happening. I want you to think about a limb being taken out of the uterus one at a time. I want you to think about a white substance running out of a woman's uterus, which is the brains of a child. And I want you to begin to tell me what part of what I just described is actual love. And how is the act of abortion love? That is one of the most twisted analogies I think I've ever heard be used. Now, I have to admit, the messages that were placed all around the city in the state of Ohio probably were worse because they were leaving,
The ones in Dallas were pretty bad also.
Oh, as well.
They were targeting black women in the ones in Dallas.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly despicable. I mean, given the fact that the founder had it as her mission to exterminate black people, they actually had these billboards all over the black community. So, I mean, advertising the extermination of black people, I find it highly, highly offensive and racist.
Yeah. I mean, and what was so sad about it was that the billboard that was actually sponsored was by a clinic that was ran by black women in Dallas that promoted this billboard. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that this narrative is, it may be one of the more twisted ones that I've seen, because before it's been more about the militant action of freedom. It's been more of the kind of feminist action, but now they're turning to love and they're turning to faith and they're turning to all of these different things. And I just want to say this, that, as a Christian, I feel like that my faith and my Christianity, which is my personal relationship with God, is being mocked when I hear these kinds of words come from people who are okay with abortion. Now, mind you, these are not coming from people that are who are unbelievers. A lot of this is coming from people that are a part of the faith movement who is okay with abortion. And I'm going to get into that. So the billboards that were placed around, this was September of 2018. One of them said, "People of faith love those who have abortions." And the other ones would say, "God loves those who have abortions." Now, I want to just say this to you. Both of these statements are true, because as Christians, we are called to love these women who have had abortions. There are women that have had multiple abortions that have come into grace, that have come into the kind of help, that have come into the life that God has for them, and they have been loved all along the way. They've never been shamed. They've never been made to feel like they had done so much wrong in their lives that they couldn't come into redemption. God also loves his creation. Therefore, even though it's going to grieve, it grieves his heart, first of all right, when a woman would align herself and align her womb with something like this. But God loves his creation. It's not us that he hates. It's the act of sin that we perpetuate that he hates. Okay? And so I want you to think about that and how they used this. I want you to think about that and how they used these two statements. They're very, very clever when you really think about it. They're very clever because they're targeting Christians, okay? And there's this underlying message that says, well, you can't really be a real Christian and not agree with what I'm doing, is really the message that they're sending, okay? It's really that place of, if you're really a true Christian and you really love people the way that you say, then you should be perfectly okay with me getting an abortion and make me feel okay about it. That's the underlying message. And so one of the things that was said that was interesting last year, even about these billboards, one of the quotes that was taken from a spokesperson for OCRJ was, "We really wanted to change the narrative around abortion and faith. But we know there are people who are pro-choice because of their faith, not in spite of it." I'm going to repeat that. She's saying, okay, that there are people that are, because of their faith, they are pro-choice. So because of their faith, they're okay with an innocent life inside of a woman being taken. I want you to think about how twisted that is. Now, this may irritate some people. I honestly don't care. I'm trying to get people to understand how when the narrative changes, it's to target the mind, okay? It's to pull something out of your emotions and make you begin to rethink what you actually stand for. One of the things that they're saying also is that they call them anti-choice pregnancy centers. First of all, the word anti, okay, that's a big trigger word, okay, that the left really uses. And I'm not saying that it can't be used, but they really use that to really hone in, okay, that a pregnancy center that is not for abortion, that may be there to help women, that they're just anti-woman, is what they're trying to convince you of. All right. And so one of the things that they say, obviously, is that they said in this, federal and independent investigations have caught staff at these facilities misleading patients, exaggerating the risk of abortion, and delaying care. Well, number one, I want to know how misleading is it if you're convincing a woman that her only way out is to get an abortion? Because I always hear people talk about, well, I'm pro-choice. What choices are you actually giving a woman? Because when I hear a woman who's talking about being pro-choice, most of the time it's talking about just getting an abortion. There's no other choices being given. Nobody's talking about adoption. No one's talking about anything else. It's always the same thing. Well, get an abortion. I'm here for that. So I think we can, maybe safely drop the pro-choice, phrase being used. And also, what does delaying care actually mean? What care is delaying?
Yeah, what care is that? That's the opposite of what they're offering. They are not offering care.
Exactly. And see, care is a very, I want you to think about that. Care is a very flowery, beautiful, warm and fuzzy word, okay, that is used. It's the same word, okay, that they use for babies that have been aborted that are put into a box off to the side and left there to cry until they take their last breath. See, that's the same word that's being used. So it sounds nice to your ear, okay? When you read it, makes you feel good. Oh, they're being taken care of,
Yeah.
They're being
take care of it.
Yeah, they're being taken care of. And so again, I'm saying all this, you guys, to point out how twisted this kind of language is and what it is meant to do to the constituent, to the voter, to a woman who may begin to rethink what she actually believes. I don't care if you're pro-life. I don't care if you're pro-choice. That's about you. That's between you and God. But what I'm saying to you is that I'm not going to sit here and read things like this and not point out the twisted nature, okay, of this kind of dialogue that is being used every single day when talking about abortion. This is why they try to stop movies like Unplanned and Gosnell from coming into theaters. Because if people actually looked at the act of abortion and they looked at how bloody it was and they looked at how full of death it was, then it would begin to obliterate words like care and words like abortion access is love.
Yeah.
This is not some free love and let's all care about each other movement. Because the act of abortion is literally a death taking place inside of a mother's womb. And what I want to know is how many of you are actually describing, how many of you in these abortion centers are actually showing these women what's actually happening to them? Do they know what's actually happening to them? Do you show them? Or is it just a thing where you're convincing them that, hey, you know what? Everything's great. This is something I'm going to be talking about, you guys. One of those aspects of abortion is how come Planned Parenthood doesn't talk about the mental health and the emotional health of women that are going in to get abortions? How come they're not talking about women who have actually committed suicide because they were so tormented after they had an abortion? How come they're not talking about the mental health of women who have gotten abortions and now they can't sleep, and some of them have actually ended up crazy because they were being tormented by what actually took place. I'm not expecting someone in Planned Parenthood to sit down and have some kind of spiritual, enlightening conversation with a woman who's getting an abortion. That's not going to happen. This was another quote. In the Christian faith, one of the things we are called to do is treat others the way you want to be treated, and that is with love and mercy and grace. We need to show that we are proud to publicly express that love and support and to hopefully remove some of the anxiety and concern for people who need to make that choice. I want them to know that we are faith-based and supportive.
Whoa. Is that those are abortion people saying that?
No, these are people that are, this is from some of the spokespeople who are a part of this movement here in Oklahoma. Okay, that are about a faith, and it was very big last year. They were a part of a faith-based network that are for reproductive rights, is what they consider themselves to be. Jeez. I believe that there are people that are part of the Catholic Church that are a part of that, if I'm not mistaken. They come from different kind of, whatever denominations.
Multi-faith group.
Exactly. And so
that's their new strategy now.
Oh, obviously.
They rolled that out a couple of years ago. Their new strategy is they're going to start going after people of faith.
Yep.
They're going to start trying to infiltrate the churches. And the thing is, you might think to yourself, like, that cannot happen. But yes, it can. With enough money, sure you can. You can do that.
Yeah.
You convince people that Christians are behind this. And some people might peel off of that. But make no mistake about it, these are horrible statements. These are crazy. These will not end well. These will not age well.
My question is, in the Christian faith, one of the things we are called to do is treat others the way that you want them to be treated.
That's crazy.
And here's the interesting part. Yes, we are told that. But one of the things that I don't like is when someone says a statement like that, and yet they skip over the part where we begin to talk about how as Christians that are connected to Jesus Christ, how we are to hate what he hates. And I would like for someone to please explain to me what God loves about abortion. What does God love about you going in and stealing a life that he created? And what right do you have as a human being to make the decision over who should live and who should not live? I think that these statements are a reflection of the narrative very much changing in the pro-choice movement. I want you to know that if you are looking and you are seeking out an abortion, that there are people who are connected in faith, who have a relationship with God, that do love you. Love you because you were created by God. Love you because you are a person that was created just like the child that is in your womb. But if you're looking for someone to agree with your decision, then you're not going to find it. You will find love, but you're not going to find agreement with your decision. I also want you to understand that there are other choices and to understand what it truly means to be pro-choice. Pro-choice is not being given one choice. Pro-choice means that you're given options. Number 3, there are plenty of options, and there are a plethora of pro-life centers that are available to you that are here in the state that want to help you. We are called to treat people with love, and we are called to treat people and to offer hope to people. I get that. But we are also called to hate what God hates and to love what God loves. And I refuse to call abortion an act of love. And I refuse to align myself with people who claim to be of the Christian faith that would support something that is vile inside of a woman. I don't think these women are vile. I think these women are scared, many of them. And if we can do anything to help you, then obviously we're here. But we're never going to agree with the decision of abortion. We're never going to agree with that. So let me know in the comments what you guys think about what is happening with this in the state of Oklahoma. And let me know if you have billboards such as this in your state. What kind of statements are being made in your state? What kind of narrative is being shifted at the state and city level where you're at? I believe you have an announcement.
Yes. Please follow us on Red River TV and follow us at 46 News on Facebook. You can follow our YouTube page. We have a BitChute page also. And view our articles on 46news.com. And if you have any article ideas for us, you are in the Oklahoma area and you have some hot tips about some government
hot tips
that address is right on the screen right now. And I think that's it. Thank you guys for joining us. Until next time. See you later.